Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? All right, well, I'm going to set the stage. We're going to start by talking about what's happening, a little bit about disruption, then we're going to talk about a little bit on innovation, and then we're going to talk about that topic, AI. But the last piece is really important. I want you to take a call to action. And this call to action is going to be based on your personal beliefs and where you see the world. Now, there's a stat we use all the time. 52% of the Fortune 500 merged, acquired, gone bankrupt, fallen off the list since 2000. These companies are never coming back. These companies have traditionally been stalwarts, they've been legacy organizations, they've been disrupted, and they don't know what's going to happen. In a lot of companies, in a lot of organizations, we're seeing that. And if you think about your competitors, you think about what's happening in the marketplace, your top 3, top 5, top 7 competitors are taking 40 to 70% of the market share, 40 to 77% of the profits. It's a bloodbath. It's not even a digital divide. It is a winner-takes-all market that is emerging. And when you understand that, you realize that 3 things are happening. We are living in a post-sale, on-demand attention economy. Post-sale meaning everything after the sale of a product is more important. It's the service, it's the installation, it's everything but the product. It's the experience, it's the outcome. It's also on demand because we're not buying bigger and bigger amounts of things. We're accessing, not owning. Think Airbnb, think Lyft, think all these different services where we're actually not buying a product. And we don't buy jet engines, we buy flight miles. And that shift is happening. But the third piece is really important. The third piece is we are in an attention economy. If I don't capture your attention, or if I don't save you time, you don't care. And there is no such thing as loyalty in this kind of market. There's such thing of convenience, but not necessarily loyalty. And that's what that shift is. Now, this takes us to the topic of innovation because innovation is no longer a luxury, but there are different types of innovation. There's incremental innovation and there's transformational innovation. And so I'm going to show you quickly the difference between the two. Now, I'm going to put something on the screen and I want you to yell out loud. Tell me what you see. Are you guys ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. What do you see? A Sony Walkman. This was the innovator of portable music. This was the beginning of it. Now, I have to say, and hopefully no one from Sony is here, so I don't get shot, but this was Sony's last real consumer innovation. It's been a long time. When did the Walkman come out? 85, someone said 81. 79 is the correct answer. Yes, thank you. It didn't show up to the US till 81, but it's 79. It's been a long time. Now, I grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I cut lawns to pay for school. This was awesome. I could get maybe like 2 lawns in on one side of a cassette, if you remember those. And that was portable music. It freed me, right? Now, incremental innovation looks like this. I'm going to show you what happened next. The next thing was I couldn't buy the next innovation for 6 years. Actually, it was 7 years. I had to go to Akihabara, this place in Japan where you get all the cool latest electronics. And in fact, even when I got it there, I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't get it on the internet. There was no internet. I couldn't get it mailed online. I couldn't do anything with this. So I had to go to Akihabara. And you guys are thinking, what is this? Are you guys ready? Tell me what you think it is. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. What did I buy? No, the double cassette Walkman. 180 minutes. That gave me more lawns, the cool yellow headsets, rechargeable battery. It was awesome, right? Unfortunately, this is what incremental innovation looks like. It's faster, it's better, it's cheaper, but it's not a game changer. Now, let's take Apple as an example, highly overused, but let me give it to you in a different way. When the iPod came out, put yourself in 2000 when the iPod came out. How much did you guys pay for a CD? Yell out loud. How much? 16. Anyone else? 20. All right. If you got one good song, raise your hands high. Anyone get 2? All right. Did you get 3? 3 was like me, an old ex-girlfriend, a love pack. That was about 3. So you paid about $8 a song. In 2000, and I'm going to have to admit this, but in 2000, I paid nothing for music. I had Napster, I had LimeWire, I had Russian MP3 sites. I paid nothing. You guys paid $8. I was in the wind. But here's what happened. The business model shift, that business model shift transformed everything. right? You went from 8 to 99 cents, got the exact song you want, no fluff, no junk, and I went from never paying for music to actually paying for music. That's the kind of disruption we're talking about. It's transformational. So who had an iPhone in 2006? Raise your hands high. You were early adopters because it came out in 2007. Really early adopters. But here's my point, right? This one device transformed everything. 27 business models on one phone. Where do you get your camera? It's here. Where do you get your music? It's here. Do you need a video camera? No, it's here. Map manufacturers completely disrupted by the iPhone. You don't need a navigation device. It's here, right? When's the last time you bought a flashlight? Flashlight manufacturers disrupted. There's no need to buy a flashlight. And that's transformational innovation. And what we're trying to do is get to transformational innovation if we're going to be successful. Now, $100 components is worth $800, could be worth $1,000, $999, and these guys have the same $100 components for $150. So there's a little bit something more than just disrupting on the business model, being first in a technology. Brand also matters. Brand also matters a lot because the brand is about trust. The brand is about a commitment to an experience and an outcome. Now, the hottest topic that we have right now is about AI and AI-driven smart services and where this takes us. And I want to show you what's important in AI, but I want to put this in the context of all the other cool technologies. IoT is about providing context. What IoT does is it builds on other technologies, mobile and cloud and big data. 3D printing takes advantage of how we actually create new things, the ability to print a part on the fly, the ability to print an Oreo cookie on the fly if you want. You can tie that to a delivery. AR, VR is interesting because it changes what we see, right? We're going to live more in an echo chamber because we're only going to see the things that we want to see. And robotics is really about changing the way we look at augmenting work, augmenting humanity, and maybe replacing humanity. And blockchain gives us abilities to rethink the internet. Now that last part, AI, is going to be embedded across all these different technologies, all these different business models that we have. And that's what becomes interesting. Now AI isn't easy to do. It takes a lot of information, a lot of data. You need time, and you have to compress that. You want to apply good math and algorithms. You've got to have a good domain knowledge and expertise in the space. And more importantly, you need the ability to have lots of compute power to make this happen. Other than that, it's easy. No, just kidding. So what we're at the point is we have access to all this compute power because of where we are in the cloud, and that's changing our ability to actually make decisions on the fly. We ultimately want to use these for recommendations and outcomes. But let me tell you a story. I spent a summer at a major research institute when I was somewhere in 86, 87. I got there and I was all excited because I'm going to work with one of the top people in AI. And they were at that point, AI was about replicating the human, being able to visualize things, see things, have computers think. That's where we were in the late 80s. So I got there, there's a big party, this guy just finished his PhD project, he was all excited, they were celebrating, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Wow. Joe here just figured out how to get a computer to see the letter A. I was like, oh, that's awesome. How long did it take? It took 9 months. I was like, oh, that's cool. So Joe, what are you doing next? I'm working on lowercase a. Compute power was so expensive. It was so hard. That's what he was doing. But today, we don't have to think about that. That is so fast, the algorithms are there. AI, in fact, is the new user experience. We are talking to our computers. That's what Walt was talking about with ambient computing, right? Conversations as a service is huge, but it's happening everywhere. What we can see, Dr. Fei-Fei Lin at Google is one of the pioneers at Stanford to be able to take visualizations on movies and look for patterns in basketball games to see what was happening. That's being applied everywhere. You walk into a casino, the security camera scenarios that you think, those are real. Right? It's everything from listening, talking, and everyone is talking to someone. Alexa, tell Siri to buy 20,000 copies of my book now, check out, Fastest way to bestseller if you really want. But my point being is, these conversations are being used everywhere. And that's just the beginning. That's just the access point. Vision is happening, the ability to look at someone, do a 27-point facial analysis, a gait analysis in terms of how they're walking. That is coming to life. They can use that to track patterns, to say, hey, that person looks a little bit suspicious. Or wait, that person is ready to buy. Right? All those things are starting to happen. And guess what? Even smell and taste are on the way. So, well, do you really want to smell these things? Do you really want things to replace that? Imagine that in a movie. That'd be crazy. So, But that's taking us to all these different types of models. Now, the main thing behind this is we are building new types of business models. We're trying to transform how these things exist. Now, we have a client in the Boston area that does something with showers, and he's a very interesting person. He came up to us saying, hey, I'm going to do something with AI and IoT and create this awesome project. And I was like, okay, what is it? Well, he said, look, we're going to put a sensor on a shower, and we're going to charge everyone $1 per shower head per month. And I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he's like, no, it's not. And I said, okay, well, what's this about? Well, he said, look, if you go into a hotel, the top four out of the top 10 items in Net Promoter Score, which is really about, the ability and customer experience for people to buy additional things, it's a measure. And he said, look, 4 out of the top 10 are in the shower. It's too hot, it's too cold, the water's dripping, right? The pressure's bad. And if you can raise NPS by 1 point, you can drive revenue up 10 to 15%. And that's pretty cool. So we got together, got more drinks, more people joined in. Following the conversation, they realized, hey, wait, we can do more with this. Imagine if you gave away the monitoring for free. If you gave that monitoring for free and took over the service contract, you could do something very powerful. You would have all the data on your competitors' parts. In fact, if you had the service contract for 4 years, you would actually have 4 years worth of data on competitor parts. You know exactly what parts are going to break, how do they break, why that breaks, and you could use that to figure out what parts to replace with. And in fact, having that insight, in 10 years, you would have at least replaced almost 2/3 of your competitors' parts. And that's a very interesting strategy. And then someone else jumped in and said, wait, imagine if you had to service those contracts, you'd have to create a way to actually find plumbers. But you could create an Uber-like plumber network that says, hey, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we'll take care of you. After 7 p.m., an 8 p.m. call might be like $400. 2 a.m., there's no plumbers floating around. It might be $50. And they would switch it around. So now, this $1 per shower head project now has, a data problem, a Uber-type network. And then someone else jumped in and said, wait, there's more. And I said, that's kind of interesting. What do you have? Well, who here steams their clothes in the shower instead of irons? Shame on you. That's a waste of water. So he figured out, this other guy said, hey, what happens if we gave you 200 points to keep your shower to 5 minutes, 100 points to keep your shower to 10, and if you go past 10, I'm only going to give you like 50 points. That would change your behavior. And so what we have now is the ability to do 5 things on one business model. That is the power that we're trying to get to. A CX program, field service based on someone's data, an Uber-type plumbing network, a green program, and a loyalty program all into one. And in fact, what we're really doing over time is we're studying things for context. We're trying to figure out, is time and location and relationships and weather, how do they come into the role? And more importantly, how do we take that and give people choices? Because when we give people choices, we give them the ability to actually go out and make a decision and tell you what you're really going to do, not what you polled or thought was going to happen. So who remembers Choose Your Own Venture books? These things were great. Start on page 1, go to page 57, come back to 23, go to 86. The end. Wait, but there's 23 possible endings. This is awesome. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people the ability to make choices. We're trying to apply intention-driven approaches so that you can guess to see what happens. And so this is how it works. Imagine you're in a large apartment building or your large condo. You walk in the building. It doesn't know who you are. You haven't swiped in the key and says, but it looks like Ray, and he's on the 15th floor. Okay, send the elevator to the 15th floor. But wait, suddenly, there's tons of people in the lobby. Send every elevator to the lobby because we need elevators. Now, what's interesting about this is I may also be trying to meet with my boss. And let's say I'm in an office building, and she's on the 25th floor. And I've been trying to meet with her for like the last 10 days. I get a message that says, hey, your boss is available. She's on the 25th floor. Would you like to meet on the 25th floor? Yeah, that's awesome. So option 1 is, we're not going to the 15th floor. That's 80% of the time. Your boss is now giving you an option. That's option number 2 at 65% that you might go to the 25th floor. And then, wait, there are donuts on the 5th floor. What do? Do I take the donuts, go see my boss? Do I go see my boss, get the donuts? But you get the idea. We're building mass personalization at scale, and that's where these AI-driven systems are coming. In fact, they're getting really smart. And when we think about things like AI, we have to stop thinking about the technologies, but think about the business outcomes. What are we trying to achieve? At first, tell me what's going on. Then give me some notifications, and then start telling me what recommendations, what suggestions, and then let's automate that. Now, the interesting part is when we get to prevention and predictions. When we can predict what's going to happen next, we offer choices. When we can prevent, we can save things from, a food allergy, right? Maybe I'm allergic to peanuts, and you'll never make that offer to me. Maybe someone's not compliant with money laundering. And maybe there's AML. Maybe we can prevent AML from happening, right? So all these things are starting to occur with these outcomes. Now, this is the question that we're stuck with. When will the robots take over? This is the challenge that's out there, because we are actually at a point where, when we think about this, the automation is moving very, very fast. Can you find the two humans in this shop floor? 1, 2, and there's the other one. That's the Tesla shop floor. Is there a third? Anyone see a third? But that's my point. We're seeing a shift to automation, and this automation is happening very quickly. It's happening based on if something is highly repetitive, if things are in volumes that humans can't comprehend. It's happening when tasks are both really complex and really simple. It's also happening when we see physical presence being a requirement. Then, okay, there's no need for a robot. But if there's lots of nodes, we're definitely going to need a robot. And if there's a lot of time to take something to solve, you're going to need a robot. So jobs are going to go away, certain types of jobs. Notice how comp sci folks are still there. I don't know why. Medicine, right? But the main thing here is, where are we on ethics? So, you ever hear that joke? Two autonomous vehicles crash, and who lives? You ever hear that? It's a very interesting ethical problem, right? What happens, and I know I'm running a little bit out of time, but give me some time, and I'll show you. So, two cars get in a crash. Who lives? Is it the stockbroker? Is it the priest? Is it the pregnant woman? Is it the single mom with 2 children? Who lives? Those are the kinds of questions we're going to have to answer. Now, the answer to this question is really simple. You know you're going to have a crash. Send the cars out. Leave everyone at home. It'd be a lot easier. Okay, here's the other one. Autonomous vehicle runs over a pet, right? And I'm going to make some stereotypes. Please don't hate me. Autonomous vehicle runs over a pet in Canada. What happens? Well, runs it over, sends a text message, tracks the tag of the pet, and says, "So I'm so sorry, I ran over your pet. Let us know what we can do. We are so sorry. We're taking them to the hospital now." That's the Canadian algorithm. Autonomous vehicle runs over a pet in Russia. What happens? Quick, erase the video. Nothing happened. Run it over again, and let's get out of here. Autonomous vehicle runs over a pet in China. Oh my God, we hit the pet. Wait, but if it lives, we're going to have to pay more for the pet living. Run it over 10 times, make sure it's dead, and we're good. Ooh, scary. Yeah, I know. Here's the challenge. There is no universal set of ethics. We love to believe, oh, we'll have AI, and the ethics are going to be great. We're going to debate the world's big problems. It's going to look like this, right? We can't make a decision. We don't know who's in charge, what's supposed to happen. This guy has a point. Elon Musk has a point, right? Will the robots come kill us? We don't know. What are the ethics in place? This guy was right. Asimov, right? Rule number 1, right? Robots must never harm a human. Rule number 2, must always follow instructions from a human. And rule number 3, that instruction can't be kill a human or harm a human, right? That's kind of where we're headed. Now, this is why it's so important. If you have science, technology, engineering, and math, you can't just do that. You got to balance the right side and the left brain together. I need artists, I need ethnographers, I need ethicists, anthropologists, design folks to come together, because what we're really trying to do is think a holistic view, especially on this AI problem. And this is going to be one of the biggest challenges we have in the world. And why is this important? Because we are really trying to answer this question. How do we get from here to the Star Trek economy? Right? Where people don't work for money, where people pursue happiness, where people think about their ideas and where they're going to be. And more importantly, actually, I'm going to pass this, but who's seen the hotel with the robots with the Japanese? You guys should see this. This is hilarious, right? There's not a single human in the hotel except for the guests. We're heading in that direction. People are saying, do we tax the robots? Poor Pepper, right? Do we tax the robots, right? What do we do with UBI or Universal Basic Income, right? Is privacy dead? right? These are the questions we're asking because this ambient computing world requires you to give up privacy, right? So the question I ask you today, and this is my call to action, what rights, what roles, what responsibilities does a baby have when they're born in the year 2050? Do they have to be connected to the internet? Do they have to be tracked? Will they have a right? And what rights will those be? In fact, how much privacy will you be trading for that convenience? And more importantly, will you be able to support the fact that privacy is still an international human right? Thank you very much.